Welcome to the SysTools MailXaminer version 4.8.5 Features and Functionality video series. In this video, we will discuss and demonstrate file export or the production of evidence. After we have completed an analysis and created our bookmarks, the next important function in the e-discovery process is export and production. Production is providing the exported email evidence in a court-validated and forensically sound format, and your production format will be dictated by the audience. Paralegals may require the evidence be presented in a PDF format, whereas a reviewer may require the viewing the evidence in a PST or an EML format. Also, if the reviewer is using their own review tool, then they may need a load file. MailXaminer gives us the ability to produce evidence in several formats, including load files or just the metadata if that's what is required. When we are ready to export a file, we start by checking the file that we want to export, and then once checked, we can right-click the file and choose the Export option. This brings up the Export Options window. Export settings in MailXaminer have changed to include more options and better functionality, and here we will cover the options. We'll start with the PDF format. When we choose our format, we have the option to change the export settings at the bottom of the window. When we click Change, we see what those options are. The first options that we see are under Export Settings, and under General Settings, we'll start with Maintain Folder Hierarchy. Checking this option will export files with the original path intact. By leaving this unchecked, the tool will export all files to the root of the destination folder. The next option is Exclude Duplicates. Checking the Exclude Duplicates will prevent the tool from exporting the same email files to the same locations. Duplicate attachments will be exported regardless of the option that you choose here, as this applies only to the email messages. The next options are for managing the size of a PST or a CSV file of the items to export. If you need to split these file types into smaller sizes, you can. At the bottom of the window, under Export File Name, you can specify a naming convention, or you can use the default naming convention that you see listed here. The tool will append an incremented sequential number to the exported segments. Next, under General Settings, is Performance Tuning. Here you can set the number of threads that will be dedicated per export job, and you can set the number of export jobs that can run at the same time. Next is the PDF Settings tab. Starting with the page layout. In the top two sections of this window, you can define a format for the PDF exports. At the bottom, you see an option to include a custom defined header and/or footer, and to the right, we see the option to export the email header. If you export the email header, it will be appended to the bottom of the email messages. Next, under PDF Settings, is the Properties button. Here you have the option to include or exclude any of these property options for your email or your calendar exports. Next is the Attachments button. Here you can specify how you want the email attachments exported. Your first option here is Attach on Pin. This will append the attachment in its native format as part of the exported PDF file. When you open the attachment from this type of export, it will use the available locally installed applications or viewers to show the file. The next option is to append the attachment. This will convert the attachment from its native format to a PDF. The PDF is then appended to the end of the exported message, so you can just scroll down and view it in the PDF viewer that you're using. The next option is to save the attachment in its native format. This option will export the attachment in its native format, but it will export it to the root of the folder as a single item with the email messages. The next option to the left is Bates numbering. To start, we click the Bates number option at the top of the window. Bates numbering is used to place identifying numbers and/or date and time marks on the exported images and documents. These identifying numbers are used as an organizational method to label and identify the file items. Most law firms use some type of Bates electronic numbering, and it is typically used for PDF formatted documents. The Bates numbering option allows you to assign PDF docs an arbitrary, unique identifier to each page of the individual PDF export. This can be just numbers, or it can be a combination of letters and numbers. There is no standard method for numbering documents, nor is there a standard typeface used for such numbers. Because of this, everything in this window is customizable. In MailXaminer, Bates numbering is a post-processing option that works for the email exported to a PDF. The first option that we see here is the Bates series for files. Checking this box will continue the Bates numbering across multiple files that you are exporting. As an example, if you export 3 different files with 3 pages each, then the numbering will be 1 through 3 for the first set, 4 through 6 for the second set, and 7 through 9 for the third set. This is a good option to use when you are exporting multiple files, as each page can be referenced by the unique Bates number. Next, we see the options that we have for the Bates numbering format. Starting with the start number. Because there is no standard method for numbering, you can choose to have any numbering format that you want. Here, you can specify where you want the numbering to start. Whatever you select, you must make sure that the number of digits option matches the number of digits specified in the start numbering box. Once you have the start number set, you can specify how many numbers you want the start number incremented by. Next, you have the option to add a static prefix or a suffix. For the prefix, you can use something custom, or you can choose the document export title as the prefix. Your next options define where the Bates number will appear in the document. It can be the top or the bottom left, or the middle or right of the page. You can also choose a specific font to use and a color for the number at the bottom of the options. Last, you can choose to include a date of the export from MailXaminer, and you can specify the position and format to show the date. Next, across the top is the Naming Convention tab. On this tab, you can customize a naming convention for the different types of file items that you are exporting. You can specify a different property for the exported file name field. You also have the option to append a prefix or a suffix to further help you identify different exports. In addition to the settings that we have for the email exports, we can also set the naming convention for calendars as well as documents that are found in the dataset. The last tab across the top is CSV headers. This option allows for the exporting of the file metadata. As we click through the options on the left of the window, we see a set of metadata items for each file type. When we export this data, a report will be generated for each one of these categories that we see on the left, and will include the metadata based on what is selected in the Properties window. Once these are set up the way you want, you can save the selections, and any future CSV header reports that you export will contain the specified properties. These settings will remain in effect until you manually change them again. This concludes this SysTools MailXaminer features and functionality video. For more information, please visit www.mailexaminers.com. Thank you for watching.